Hello, my creative and crafty friends. This is Gloria Plunkett with designsbygloria.com, here to share with you a few cards using the Way to Goat stamp set. I love these little characters on there. They're so stinking adorable. Here are 4 cards I've already created for you in different kind of variations here. Let me share those with you. This one uses a square bottom, flip little panel that you open up to reveal a sweet message. It's not a regular standard card. It only uses a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of thick whisper white cardstock, and then when you flip up the top, it reveals a message inside. This one I've bannered on the bottom, and this one I've bannered, but I've also made it a smaller strip on the inside because I wanted to write a smaller message so I don't have to write so much. So I did that with that one, and then this one uses the regular ones like I did on the previous cards. So just different variations with what I've created here. So let me share with you how to pull this together. I'm using, like I said, some thick Whisper White cardstock. I'm using some regular Whisper White cardstock, and I'm using some new Designer Series paper from the new catalog. And you don't have to write down any of the measurements. I have everything ready for you, so you don't need to write it down. I will have a free downloadable tutorial on my blog for you. I use a Flowers for Every Season Designer Series paper from the new 2020-2021 Stampin' Up! Catalog. And here I've got some sunflowers. I love how these beautiful, all these different floral images are in this Designer Series paper pack. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus to adhere my project together. I live in the South in Georgia, and it's really humid here, and I don't want my cards to fall apart, so I love to use Stampin' Seal Plus. It's a little bit stronger adhesive than the Stampin' Seal, so you got to be real careful not to catch it on anything. I do that a couple times here on this video. Scared me to death because once it sticks, it sticks. Ah, there's one right there. So anyway, I'm adhering this to the back of my Designer Series paper, and I'm going to adhere it to my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece panel, thick Whisper White panel piece to create my card. Just kind of a different take on creating a card project. These are my other pieces. I'm using Misty Moonlight and some regular Whisper White cardstock. Again, I've got the measurements for you. Here I'm going to flag the end using my tailored tag punch. You don't need to flag it, of course. You can just leave it square like I did on one of the other cards here. Let me show you. This one I just left square on the bottom. This one I flagged on the bottom. So the way I flagged it was using this tailored tag punch. So what I'm going to use is insert this and make sure that I'm as close to the right and to the left centered there as I possibly can. I'm going to punch this out. And you're going to see that I didn't miss some corners there, but we can fix that. It's not a problem. I'm going to take my Stampin' Paper snips and I'm going to snip the ends off there to create a clean edge, and you'll never know that they didn't go all the way to the edge. So that's a quick tip for you here. I've scored this at 1/2 inch down from the top, and I'm going to use my bone folder, which I love, love, love to use on my cards. I love crisp folds, and this gives me a crisp fold. It's a great investment if you don't have one. This Misty Moonlight cardstock is my I guess for lack of a better word, base for the front of my card. I've got 2 pieces of Whisper White that are measuring the exact same size. This one is going to get placed on top of that Misty Moonlight, and the other one will go underneath it to write our hidden message. I'm going to take this cute little goat with the flower on his mouth, and I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink to ink it up. Here's a tip. Don't squish the ink on your stamp pad. Just gently pat, pat, pat all the way around till you get nice coverage, and that way you don't get a blotchy stamp when you put it down on your paper. It just gives you a nice crisp. I'm making room to make sure I have room for my sentiment up here on the left corner. I'm going to hold it for a second or two. Make sure my ink transfers, and there it is. It's perfect. I'm going to use this little stamp that looks like dirt or grass. I can't really tell what it is, but I'm going to use my Just Jade Classic ink to ink it up, and I'm not going to re-ink it. I'm just going to ink it up once, and once I have it nicely inked up, I'm going to just stamp over and over across and up and down on my project to create the little grass for my goat. If you hear my dogs in the background, I apologize. One of them's coughing and acting a fool. So anyway, here's a little tin can. It comes in the stamp set. He is so adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this one only once. And I'm going to stamp it down here by the little grassy area that I've created. Let me just go ahead and stamp my sentiment while I've got this open. I've got that. I got a cake. I got you a cake, a stamp, and sentiment. And I'm going to stamp that on the top left corner of my project. Again, just tap, tap, tap your stamp onto the ink. You don't need to squish it in there. You get a much better and nicer little stamped image when you do that. All right, so now we're going to bring in our Stampin' Blends. I've got Cinnamon Cider, light and dark here set. I've got the Gray Granite, light and dark. And I've got the Mango Melody, light and dark. And what I'm going to do is ink this up. Color this in, but I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to sit here and watch me. So cute. Oops, forgot his little chinny chin chin there. Let me add some more Gray Granite on there. And that's the extent of my coloring. And so now I'm going to adhere this piece to my Misty Moonlight cardstock panel. And again, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus because I don't want this ever coming apart once I put it together. Oh, almost did it again. Good Lord. Butterfingers today. Let me center this on my panel. There we go. And I got that placed. Now I'm going to take my little flagged piece. Darn it. You're not going to believe what I did. I should have added this underneath my Designer Series paper before I added my Designer Series paper to my quote-unquote card base. I'm not sure I can really take this apart. You know, Stampin' Seal, once it's down, it's down. I can barely even get this open here. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's just barely going to fit there. Let me just push this back and you'll just be able to see that little seam. So if you put it underneath the Designer Series paper first, you shouldn't have that problem. See, you can see it right there, and I don't like that, but oh well. On that one, I've got it underneath the Designer Series paper. I think it looks much better, but we'll just go with what we have. Now I'm going to adhere my little panel onto the front of that flag piece with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And, well, you know what? First, let me make my little, I'm going to put some little doodle marks here with my black Stampin' Right marker. You don't have to do this. You can certainly eliminate this, or you can add another layer with a different color of cardstock, whatever you want. I'm just going to add some doodles. I thought since this is kind of a cartoony kind of stamp set, I'm going to go ahead and make it look a little bit more whimsical. My little stripes are not perfect. They're just, you know, doodles more than anything else. Again, you can leave the step out if you don't like it. Not a problem. Okay, now we're ready to adhere the panel. Let me get my Stampin' Dimensionals, figure out about where I want him placed. And I'm going to put the Stampin' Dimensionals on my little tab there instead of underneath my cardstock because I don't want my dimensionals to come off on the side or to be sticky on the sides there. So that way I'll make sure that they're centered in on my card when I place my little panel there, instead of sticking them on the back of my card. These suckers are sticky. They're not coming off. Here we go. And now I'm just going to center my little goat panel as best I can, left to right, top to bottom, and press. Now to adhere my inside panel, I'm going to use a little more of the Seal Plus, and I'm going to put the non-sticky side up against the back of it. So when I press it down, it's lined up perfectly underneath that panel. There we go. Pressed. I don't like that little piece there, but nothing I can do. Now for the last thing I'm going to do is add some Artistry Blooms adhesive back sequins. I love, love, love these sequins. They've got so many beautiful colors. And I mean, you just need to see these in person. They're perfect. I don't have to add adhesive or anything. It already comes with it. So I'm just going to sprinkle a few on my project here. And I think I'm going to call this project done. You can obviously do something different, but I love these Artistry Blooms. Thank you for visiting me. Bye, y'all.